I wanted to talk today about working with tremor. I have an essential tremor, a hereditary tremor, sometimes called intention tremor. Basically, the kind of tremor that I have only manifests itself when you're actually doing something, when you're intending to do something. So when I'm just resting, my hands are completely still. Even if I lift my hands and just hold them in place, there's almost no tremor at all. But when I go to do functional things, the tremor manifests itself. So, for example, if I were to try and align this block with the grain on this bench, you can see the tremor comes out. Any kind of precision action or anything like that, the tremor comes out. And you can see it all the time. Even if I'm intentionally doing a hand gesture, you can see the tremor manifest itself. Let me demonstrate another manifestation. Excuse me. So if I'm trying to glue this piece to that piece, I need to apply some glue. So I grab the glue bottle, and as you can see, my hand is steady, and this hand is steady. As I go to apply the glue, you can see that the tremor begins. Oops, it's blocked up. There we go. Okay, you can see that tremor begins. And as long as I'm trying to apply the glue, the tremor is very, very pronounced. I can reduce that tremor by simply touching one hand to the other hand. And you can see the tremor's still there, but it's greatly reduced. If I gently grab the other hand with just 2 fingers, that will reduce the tremor even further. Tremor's still there, but it's greatly reduced. So without the hand-to-hand contact, the tremor is very pronounced and very extreme. But if I just touch the hand, it reduces. And if I hold the hand very gently, it reduces even more. So that is one of the ways in which you can reduce your tremor, or at least control it a little bit. Another way is that these kind of tremors are intention-based. If you do something with your hands that you're really, really familiar with and that you do not have to think about or pay much attention to, then your hand can remain quite stable. So while I'm talking here, I'm looking at the camera and I'm thinking about the script that I've written and the points that I have to cover. So I'm not really thinking about what my hands are doing. So basic actions that I've done lots of times that are simple, that don't require attention, I can do. I can just pick up this little stick, and as long as I'm not focused on what I'm doing, you can see that the hands, both hands, are very stable, and I can apply that to that. There's no precision to this action. That is just plonked on there. You can see that it is not aligned at either the front or the back. So I still need to align it. And that is when, for me, the problems begin, because aligning it, even though the board is supported and both hands are supported, I'm keeping this hand on the table and this hand as well, and I'm also anchoring this hand onto that board. So I've got both hands anchored, but you can see that as I try to precision place this top board, that there is wobbling, there's shaking of both hands, because the intention is there. But I can reduce that by anchoring the hands, or the forearms at the very least, and by taking my time and moving slowly rather than trying to hurry and set that precisely. So if I'm going to put a clamp on here, now we're going to get into big trouble with tremors, because I can't hold the clamp steady and I can't hold the board steady. They're both moving. So even as I try to bring this down, I've got the clamp braced against the table. I've got my left hand braced against the table, but really that's the best that I can do. So now I can tighten that clamp down. Most of you would probably be able to do that holding the board up in the air like that. There's no way on earth I could do that. So having an essential tremor constrains your actions. It doesn't completely prevent you from doing things. It just makes doing some things harder. So I do things slowly and carefully, and I try to focus on doing things without as much intention, without much intention, but with as much attention as I can, and not get the tremor going. It isn't the easiest thing in the world to do, and it takes a lot of practice. Like, I play guitar as well. So I spent endless hours learning to do the chord shapes in the left hand while just strumming with the right hand, and making sure that all the notes sound and that they sound properly. I started very slowly moving between those shapes, and after many, many hours of practice, I was able to move between those shapes at a tempo that's suitable for most jazz. I still have a lot of difficulty with bebop because the changes happen so quickly in bebop. It's a little bit beyond my ability most of the time, unless it's a slightly slower bebop piece or a piece in which the changes are less frequent. So it is a limitation in that way. But with repetition and practice and careful practice and attention while practicing, the chord changes now, I can do them and play music pretty well. But there are other limitations too. When it comes to any kind of activity that's similar to tapping, as long as the tapping is slow, I'm okay, I can tap. But when the tapping gets to be a certain rhythm, you can see that the tremor takes over, and now I can't stop that immediately, nor can I alter the timing of it. Once you get to that pace where the tremor takes over, it's very difficult to do anything other than that tremor. So I can't do kind of like hammer-offs and pull-ons at certain rates when I'm playing guitar, nor can I do other kinds of activities where those rhythms are a normal part of that activity. I have to avoid those altogether. I haven't discovered any way to manage those kind of activities. So, in summary, I just want to say that working with tremor, having a tremor, it isn't the end of everything. You don't have to give everything up. What you do need to do is learn mechanisms for dealing with it and mechanisms for managing the tremor. Especially with essential tremor, there are a lot of approaches to the activities, like touching one hand with the other hand, lightly gripping it, and even wearing gloves reduces the tendency of the hands to go into tremor. And the same with legs. Like, I also have the tremor in my legs, and if I'm doing an activity where precision in the legs is required, I can get quite the sewing machine leg going. But if I wear boots that are laced on snugly, that helps to reduce that tendency to go into sewing machine leg. So a little external pressure helps a bit with these kind of tremors. It doesn't end the tremors, but it does help. So there are a lot of mechanisms that you can use with your tremor to help manage the tremor, to reduce the effect of the tremor, and to allow you to work around it. So I'll just go over those really briefly again. They are bracing. If your forearms are braced, then the tremor in the hands is reduced. If you can brace the hand as well, then you can increase the degree of precision that you can do. If you slow down your actions so that they're not as quick, you can avoid tremors to a certain extent. So bracing, touching, external pressure, and slowness, and repetition. Learning something by rote helps a lot. So those are the main physical coping mechanisms. There are medical coping mechanisms as well, or medical tools for coping. These include things like beta blockers. Beta blockers are very successful in treating many different kinds of tremor, not just essential tremor, in many individuals. They don't work in some people, but the vast majority of people, the beta blockers seem to work quite well. New experimental treatments include deep brain stimulation for certain kinds of tremor. So there are ways to help medically as well as ways to help mechanically. It isn't developing a tremor later in life is not the end of everything. It's just that you're going to have to learn to cope with them and to manage the tremor. I'm hopeful that this message helps people. It took me a long time and a lot of work to discover these. I didn't invent any of these. I discovered them by searching around the world and the internet for mechanisms for coping that didn't involve heavy drugs and surgeries. The information is out there. It's just really, really hard to find. So I thought I would put it together for you in a little package, and I sincerely hope that that can help somebody cope with tremor. Thanks very much.